She thought it was a meaningless night, until she discovered she was pregnant, and the human she tried to forget was unstoppable. She had always believed humans were predictable. Thin, fragile, easy to overlook. In the endless corridors of the industrial ring, she saw hundreds like him, poor, quiet, obedient. And yet, there was something different about this one. He didn't bow. He didn't beg. He didn't try to impress. He simply existed, unafraid, eyes clear and steady. That alone made him memorable. The inspection had dragged on, the other workers drifting away into shadows. He noticed a minor fault in a life support lattice she hadn't even been aware of. When she asked for clarification, he didn't flinch. He explained it using words simple enough that even her engineers, those polished experts trained to overcomplicate, couldn't ignore. Then he adjusted a panel with bare hands, ignoring the heat, and continued speaking as if nothing mattered beyond getting it right. Precision without arrogance. Confidence without noise. It unsettled her more than she expected. By the time night fell, she was restless. The sterile, controlled luxury of her quarters felt suffocating. No guards, no protocols, just a fleeting impulse. One reckless decision, one impulsive night with a human who should have meant nothing, and she let herself indulge. There were no promises exchanged, no declarations of love. It was rebellion in its simplest, most selfish form. Morning came too quickly, as it always did. She left before the sun, or whatever light source dominated that ring, could register her absence. Humans were resilient, yes, but they were trivial in her world. The human was just one more nameless body, an expendable note in the ledger of life. She returned to silk and status, confident that nothing of consequence had been left behind. Weeks passed, and she tried to forget. The human did not. In her mind, the night was a harmless lapse, nothing more than a spark she could extinguish with memory. In his, it was simply another day survived, another system repaired, another obstacle weathered with silent endurance. Then the scanners beeped. A sound sharp and unmistakable, pulling her from her routine. Medical protocols activated automatically, machines whirring to analyze her condition. The readouts blinked at her with stubborn insistence, impossible, but undeniable. Pregnancy. The timing, the genetic markers, the hybrid instability she had been taught was impossible, everything screamed error. And yet the results were perfect. Stable. Thriving. Her first sensation wasn't wonder. It was fear. The fear of chaos. Of consequences. Of an unpredictable variable no simulation could have accounted for. And within that fear, a tiny ember of curiosity flickered. The human. He had to know. But he didn't. Not yet. Her family's reaction was immediate and clinical. Reputation, power, and legacy were weighed faster than emotion could register. In whispered meetings behind reinforced doors, the conclusion was unanimous: the human must be neutralized. Quietly. Efficiently. Removed before scandal could spread. It was not personal. It was not cruel. It was necessary. By their standards, humans were disposable, and he was no exception. She said nothing. Silence was safer than argument. She watched their strategies unfold, noting how quickly and coldly they treated the problem. To them, life was data, and humans were anomalies best erased. Far below, the humans sensed a shift. Systems hummed differently when they were being manipulated. Patrol routes tightened. Airflow sensors flagged minor changes. He understood the pattern instantly. It was not fear that made him move, it was awareness. He packed only essentials. Every step calculated, every shadow noted. Not running from death, but preparing for opportunity. The first team failed. The corridor seal jammed, leaving the operatives exposed to the wrong temperature gradients. The second team lost him entirely in waste exchanges where heat flows, pressure variations, and metallic resonance created confusion. He knew the limits, the tolerances, the environments the aliens had ignored. Each failure built the narrative that humans were fragile, but every success proved otherwise. And still, she couldn't stop thinking about him. The child growing inside her was no longer hypothetical. It was a testament to imperfection surviving perfection. Every heartbeat, every small movement, was proof of resilience she had never credited. Humans were supposed to break, to fail, to fade into irrelevance. This one, and now the hybrid within her, defied all of it. As her body adjusted, she realized something else. The human strength was not in muscle or tech. It was in endurance, in patience, in adaptation. It was in surviving the unnoticed, navigating the overlooked, thriving under pressure the wealthy would never face. The alien elite could control machinery, power grids, armies, but they could not control a species shaped by failure, rebuilt by hardship, and honed by survival. One human, insignificant in appearance, had shifted the balance in ways no spreadsheet could measure. One human, underestimated, had introduced an equation the galaxy could not ignore. The night had been fleeting, inconsequential, and impulsive. But the consequences were irreversible. The human had survived, adapted, and endured. And the child, growing stronger with each impossible moment, was proof that humans were never, ever disposable. She realized it quietly, without announcing it to anyone, without acknowledgement. She had underestimated not just him, but the entire species. And in that understanding lay both terror and awe. The alien council wasted no time. Their deliberations were swift, precise, and ruthless. Reputation, power, and legacy demanded immediate action. To them, the human was a variable, an anomaly that had to be neutralized before it multiplied consequences the galaxy couldn't control. Every directive was measured, every order executed with efficiency that left no room for hesitation. He was supposed to be erased quietly, invisibly, as though he had never existed. He knew before they came. Patterns in surveillance, airflow, security rotations, they all hinted at calculated danger. He did not panic. Panic had never served humanity. Instead, he observed, prepared, and adapted. Every step, every movement was a calculated response to invisible pressures. His hands traced structural flaws in the facility he had repaired years ago, memorized as though anticipating this very moment. Every passage, every corridor, every vent was familiar territory. The first attempt failed. The operatives underestimated the environment, the system, and him. A seal malfunctioned, heat gradients spiking in ways their models didn't predict. Their senses faltered. The human exploited every flaw without aggression, without unnecessary noise. He moved not out of fear, but because he understood the environment as intimately as he understood survival itself. The second attempt was no better. He vanished into the waste exchanges, narrow shafts where pressure differences and thermal fluctuations turned alien technology against itself. Machines failed to track him. He moved efficiently, deliberately, using knowledge the aliens never considered relevant. He survived because humans anticipated failure and designed systems for it. Meanwhile, her body betrayed the alien assumptions of fragility. The child inside her was developing at an impossible rate. Each scan revealed hybrid adaptation beyond standard biological limits. Nutritional changes, environmental toxins, even minor exposure to stresses strengthened the embryo rather than harming it. Scientists argued, recalculated, and eventually conceded that their models failed because humans had evolved under conditions the aliens would never experience: deprivation, collapse, and survival against impossible odds. The daughter watched quietly as the human navigated dangers with calm precision. She noticed the patterns, the instinctual understanding of variables the elite would dismiss. He did not fight needlessly. He did not flee in fear. He simply survived. And in that survival lay an elegance the aliens could not appreciate. Her family intensified the effort. New teams, more advanced tracking, technological traps designed to corner him. Still, he adapted. Sensors failed in ways engineers had deemed impossible. Automated security responded incorrectly to variables only a human could read. He moved efficiently through the maze, using intelligence honed by hardship, not privilege. He had lived where survival was non-negotiable, and every instinct, every skill reflected that reality. The daughter began to reconsider her assumptions. This was no ordinary labor. His strength was not visible in muscle or armor, it was in endurance, in adaptability, in quiet observation that translated into unmatched survival. The human represented what her species had abandoned, the ability to thrive under pressure without reliance on comfort or perfection. She felt a strange awe, tinged with fear, as she watched him evade every threat without confrontation. The hybrid inside her continued to defy expectations. Heart rate, cellular growth, environmental adaptability, it all exceeded predicted parameters. Medical teams whispered among themselves. Their models could not account for the resilience derived from human lineage. Every failure of alien systems highlighted the fundamental difference. Humans were engineered not for ease or dominance, but for survival against overwhelming odds. The council grew uneasy. Executives accustomed to control found their strategies failing repeatedly. The human moved predictably in ways they had not anticipated. Each failed attempt amplified their fear. Not only had the human survived, but his presence now implied potential consequences they had not calculated. The daughter, though silent, observed the shift in tone. She understood the truth before anyone else acknowledged it. Humans were not fragile. They endured. They adapted. And when cornered, they became unstoppable. He did not seek confrontation, negotiation, or reward. He moved with a single purpose: to survive and to protect. His knowledge of planetary systems, survival engineering, and environmental variables gave him an edge no alien technology could match. The daughter realized that the human's ability to endure was not random, it was a product of necessity. His species had been forged in circumstances the aliens would never experience: chaos, collapse, and scarcity. The hybrid's development accelerated. Biological systems integrated rapidly with her physiology, responding to stresses in ways designed by survival, not design manuals. She felt subtle changes in herself: strength where she expected weakness, resilience where she expected fragility. Every heartbeat reminded her that the anomaly was real. The human had not just survived the attempts on his life. He had created an outcome the aliens could not anticipate. When the human finally moved to confront the council, not in defiance, but in deliberate action, he did so without threat or intimidation. He demanded no power, sought no advantage. His purpose was singular: ensure the child's safety, and assert the unavoidable truth of survival. The elite faltered, unable to comprehend a species whose strength lay in adaptation, endurance, and strategic patience rather than immediate dominance. The daughter saw it clearly now. Her assumptions about humans had been wrong. He was not insignificant. He was not fragile. The embryo, growing stronger with each passing day, reflected the species that had endured where others failed, survived where others perished, and thrived where privilege would have succumbed to complacency. The council had planned for control, manipulation, and eradication. Instead, they faced a species whose resilience could not be measured, whose adaptability outperformed technology, and whose very existence challenged centuries of alien arrogance. Humans, underestimated, unassuming, and unbroken, had turned the tables through survival itself. She realized that nothing the elite had planned could contain what was happening. The human's endurance was a statement of inevitability. Their failure to understand him was their mistake. The child growing inside her was proof: humans were not disposable. They were unstoppable when ignored, underestimated, and challenged in ways the privileged could never survive. And as she watched him move with calculated precision, unwavering purpose, and calm awareness, she knew the balance had shifted. The human had won, not through aggression or ambition, but through resilience, adaptability, and an unyielding refusal to break. The scans came back faster than anyone expected. The hybrid was stabilizing in ways that defied biology, integrating human adaptability with alien resilience. Every tissue, every cell, adjusted to environmental stresses not by compromise, but by strengthening. Nutrients that would have caused deficiencies in alien physiology accelerated growth in the embryo. Toxins that would weaken their species had no effect. Each heartbeat was a signal: humans could survive what no alien could endure. The daughter watched in disbelief as the medical team ran simulations. Charts, graphs, and models broke down in real time. The numbers made no sense. Their predictions were obsolete. The human's presence, the child developing inside her, invalidated centuries of data, centuries of assumptions about control and stability. The council began to murmur, their confidence cracking under the weight of the impossible. Attempts to isolate or control the situation failed repeatedly. The human anticipated every maneuver, exploiting flaws the elite had never considered relevant. A ventilation recalibration meant to trap him led instead to increased efficiency for his movements. Sensor adjustments designed to predict his location failed to account for instinct honed by survival. Every step he took was evidence. Humans did not rely on comfort, protocol, or perfection. They thrived because they expected nothing to go right. The daughter's perception of him shifted. He was not powerful in the alien sense, no armies, no wealth, no influence. His strength was subtler: endurance, intuition, patience, and the ability to navigate chaos without fear. She realized the human had already won, not by fighting, but by existing, adapting, and surviving where others would fail. Her family's power, their technology, their calculated control, all were irrelevant in the face of a species forged by necessity. Medical scans revealed something more alarming. The hybrid's development accelerated beyond expected limits. Heart rate, cellular resilience, neural growth, all adapted instantaneously to the environment. Exposure to minor radiation, temperature fluctuations, and minor stresses enhanced the embryo instead of harming it. Specialists argued, recalculated, and eventually fell silent. No model accounted for this level of adaptive intelligence. The child would not simply survive. It would thrive. It would surpass the limitations imposed by alien biology. The council convened, desperate to regain control. Proposals ranged from containment to termination, each more extreme than the last. The human observed, silent but aware, and remained unconcerned. His actions were deliberate. He did not confront, negotiate, or intimidate. He had survived attempts at eradication. He had outmaneuvered technology designed to eliminate him. His patience and calculated responses proved more effective than aggression. He did not need to fight to win. The daughter confronted the truth. Humans were not fragile. They were built for survival, honed by generations of adversity. Their strength was invisible until tested, and even then, it was subtle, methodical, unstoppable. The human had survived because he expected the worst, adapted at every turn, and endured. The hybrid was the natural extension of that resilience, a child whose existence proved that human ingenuity and adaptability could challenge even the most advanced alien civilization. As the council debated, the human acted with quiet decisiveness. He approached the daughter, not to demand power, recognition, or reward, but to assert a single truth: the child must be protected, and no external force would dictate its fate. His calm, unwavering demeanor forced the elite to pause. Authority, wealth, and technology suddenly felt insufficient. Control was no longer possible. Survival, adaptability, and resilience dictated the outcome now. The hybrid responded immediately to the human presence. Neural activity increased, heart rate synchronized with environmental fluctuations, and cellular structures strengthened in response to minor stresses. The embryo was not just living, it was evolving. The daughter felt it in subtle changes to her own body: strength where weakness had been assumed, endurance where fatigue should have prevailed. The child was proof that humans were more than capable of defying expectation. The human's actions did not challenge authority directly. He did not overthrow the council or seize power. He simply existed, moved deliberately, and survived. Each success, each failure of alien planning, reinforced a single undeniable truth: humans were not to be underestimated. They adapted where aliens calculated, endured where aliens commanded, and persisted where others would collapse. The hybrid's existence was a demonstration of these principles in real time. The daughter's perspective shifted entirely. Her assumptions about humans were wrong. They were not fragile, expendable, or irrelevant. They endured, adapted, and thrived under conditions designed to break others. The human had survived attempts to erase him, outmaneuvered superior technology, and ensured the safety of the child without need for confrontation. This was not luck. It was survival honed into a quiet, unstoppable force. By the end of the Council's deliberations, a single conclusion emerged. Control was impossible. The hybrid's development, combined with the human's adaptability, rendered alien efforts to dictate outcomes irrelevant. The daughter recognized it fully. Humans did not require superiority to survive. They required challenge, adversity, and necessity. Every attempt to control or eliminate them only confirmed their resilience. The human and the hybrid represented a fundamental shift. Not through aggression, dominance, or power plays, but through endurance, patience, and adaptation. The elite could no longer assume superiority. Every model, every calculation, every prediction had failed. The human species had achieved the impossible, survival against an empire built on predictability. And in that understanding, the daughter felt awe. Fear intertwined with respect. The human had proven, without force or threat, that humans could endure what aliens could not. The hybrid inside her was the living testament to that truth. The galaxy had assumed humans were disposable. They had been wrong. Humans were unstoppable when cornered, underestimated, and challenged in ways the privileged could never survive. The child, growing stronger by the hour, embodied humanity's greatest trait: survival by adaptation. The human had not just survived himself, he had ensured the continuation of a lineage capable of rewriting expectations. And in the quiet, deliberate way only humans could manage, he had changed the balance of power without fighting, without claiming glory, simply by enduring. The Council could do nothing. Control was irrelevant. Authority was meaningless. The human had demonstrated that the underestimated could endure, adapt, and survive in ways the elite had never imagined. The child was proof. Humans were never disposable. The Council had tried everything. Strategies, calculations, contingencies, all designed to contain, control, and neutralize the human and the child growing within the daughter. Every attempt failed. Every prediction was wrong. Authority, wealth, and advanced technology proved irrelevant against adaptability honed by survival. She realized it fully. Humans were not fragile, disposable, or predictable. They endured, adapted, and thrived under conditions no alien could survive. The human did not seek power, recognition, or revenge. He acted with quiet deliberation, ensuring the child's safety and asserting the one truth that mattered: this life could not be dictated or destroyed. His calm, unwavering presence shifted the balance without confrontation. He was not the strongest. He was the most resilient. He was human. And his species had been underestimated at its peril. The daughter felt the hybrid's strength even as it grew. Heartbeats synchronized, neural impulses sharpened, cells adapted instantly to minor stresses. Nutrients, toxins, and environmental shifts all strengthened rather than weakened the embryo. The child was proof of what humans could achieve: survival through adaptation, endurance through adversity, and evolution through challenge. The aliens could calculate equations, control armies, and manipulate environments, but they could not match instinct refined by necessity. As the elite observed, their uncertainty grew. The human moved with precision and awareness, avoiding traps without confrontation, navigating obstacles with calculated patience. Their machines failed, their systems faltered, and their assumptions collapsed. The human survived not because he was stronger, but because he expected failure, adapted to every challenge, and refused to break under pressure. The hybrid was a living testament to the same principle: humanity could endure what the privileged could not. The daughter watched him closely, recognizing the truth she had ignored for so long. Humans were not weak. They were not inconsequential. They thrived under conditions designed to destroy them. Every mistake of the Council reinforced the reality. This human and the child inside her represented a species the galaxy had underestimated. One human had shifted outcomes not by violence or ambition, but by existing, observing, and surviving. The hybrid continued to develop at an impossible rate. Cellular structures strengthened, neural connections accelerated, and adaptive responses enhanced its physiology far beyond what alien science considered possible. Each test confirmed that the child was not only viable, but extraordinary. Every heartbeat, every signal, every subtle change demonstrated a species evolved to endure. Humans survived not because they had power, but because they were built to thrive where others failed. The Council attempted to regain control, issuing new orders, recalculating strategies, and deploying resources meant to corner the human. Every plan failed. The human's response was deliberate and precise. He did not resist unnecessarily. He did not challenge directly. He survived. And in his survival, he demonstrated the fundamental truth aliens refused to accept: humans could not be predicted, contained, or dismissed. The daughter's perception shifted completely. She saw not an insignificant labor, but a being defined by quiet endurance. Strength was measured not in status, weapons, or wealth, but in the ability to adapt, endure, and overcome. She realized that humans had never needed to dominate to succeed. They had only needed to survive, and in that survival lay the true power of their species. The hybrid inside her was proof of this principle, a living symbol of adaptability that could reshape the balance of power. The human's actions were deliberate, methodical, and unassuming. He ensured safety without seeking glory. He demonstrated control without aggression. Every decision reflected a species honed by hardship, resilient through adversity, and capable of thriving in impossible conditions. The elite could neither manipulate nor destroy him. They could only watch and recognize a truth they had long ignored: humans endure where others falter. As the hybrid continued to thrive, the daughter understood the larger lesson. The human had not just survived attempts to eliminate him. He had ensured the survival of a lineage capable of challenging assumptions, surpassing limitations, and enduring conditions the privileged could not comprehend. This was not luck. It was adaptation. It was resilience. It was human nature distilled into its purest form. The Council had no recourse. Every calculation, every contingency, every strategy had failed. The human and the hybrid had demonstrated an unstoppable truth: humans could survive, adapt, and thrive even when underestimated, cornered, or threatened. The galaxy had assumed humanity was fragile. They were wrong. Humans were built to endure. Humans were built to survive. Humans were unstoppable when ignored, underestimated, and challenged. The daughter reflected on the night that started it all. One impulsive decision, one reckless rebellion, had set in motion a chain of events the aliens could not control. The human had survived, adapted, and endured. The hybrid was a living testament to the same principle. Together, they represented a species the galaxy could no longer dismiss or underestimate. And in that understanding, or replaced fear. The human had not conquered by force, claimed victory through wealth, or dominated through technology. He had done what humans had always done: endured, adapted, and survived. The child within her was proof that this endurance was inherited, amplified, and unstoppable. The galaxy had misjudged humanity for centuries. Now, there was no denying it. Humans were not disposable. Humans were not weak. Humans endured, adapted, and thrived where others failed. One human had proven it. One child would carry the legacy. And the aliens, no matter how advanced, would have to accept it. The balance had shifted, not through conquest, but through resilience. Humanity had survived, and in surviving, it had rewritten the rules. The human and the child represented the quiet inevitability of endurance. The galaxy could attempt control, manipulate outcomes, and deploy superior technology, but it could not overcome what humans had always relied on: adaptability, perseverance, and an unyielding will to survive. One human had reminded the universe of a simple truth: survival is strength, endurance is power, and humanity cannot be underestimated.